Historical mentors of the goal process. The remainder of this work is quotes from mentors who shaped much of the philosophies of the goal process. Let's read what they had to say during the times of their life. Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1519. Painting, drawing, engineering, anatomical studies, hydrology, botany, optics, geology, and more. I love those who can smile in trouble, who can gather strength from distress, and grow brave by reflection. 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink, but they whose heart is firm, and whose conscience approves their conduct, will pursue their principles unto death. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It had long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things. Life is pretty simple, you do some stuff. Most fails. Some works. If it works big, others quickly copy it. Then you do something else. The trick is doing something else. Art is never finished, only abandoned. I have been impressed with urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do. There are three classes of people: those who see when they are shown, those who do not see. Blinding ignorance does mislead us. Oh! Wretched mortals, open your eyes. Iron rusts from disuse, water loses its purity from stagnation. Even so does inaction sap the vigor of the mind. He who loves practice without theory is like the sailor who boards ship without rudder and compass and never knows where he may cast. I have offended God and mankind because my work didn't reach the quality it should have. He who is fixed to a star does not change his mind. Time stays long enough for anyone to use it. Just as courage imperils life, fear protects it. You can have no dominion greater or less than that over yourself. Men of lofty genius when they are doing the least work are most active. Niccolò Machiavelli, 1469 to 1527. Politics, political theory, military theory, philosophy, advising royalty. When you disarm the people, you commence to offend them and show that you distrust them either through cowardice or lack of confidence, and both of these opinions generate hatred. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. Entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot have both. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe vengeance need not be feared. There are three kinds of intelligence: one kind understands things for itself, the other appreciates what others can understand, the third understand neither for itself nor through others. This first kind is excellent, the second good, and the third kind useless. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men around him. Before all else, be armed. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo, I want to overthrow it. Hatred is gained as much by good works as by evil. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous conduct or more uncertain in its success, than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. Never was anything great achieved without danger. The wish to acquire more is admittedly a very natural and common thing, and when men succeed in this they are always praised rather than condemned. But when they lack the ability to do so and yet want to acquire more at all costs, they deserve condemnation for their mistake. Martin Luther, 1483 to 1546. Theologian, author, professor. Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. I am more afraid of my own heart than of the Pope and all his cardinals. I have within me the great Pope, self. Everything that is done in the world is done by hope. Peace if possible, truth at all costs. If I'm not allowed to laugh in heaven, I don't want to go there. The fewer the words, the better the prayer. The man who has the will to undergo all labor may win to any good. William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616. Playwright, poet, actor. Ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge is the wing wherein we fly to heaven. A fool thinks himself wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. If music be the food of love, play on. It is not the stars to hold our destiny, but ourselves. To thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. God has given you one face, and you make yourself another. Cowards die many times before their deaths, the valiant never taste death but once. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood, lead on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we afloat. And we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. Better a witty fool than a foolish wit. Suspicion always haunts a guilty mind. Words without thoughts never go to heaven. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. And oft times excusing of a fault doth make the fault the worse by the excuse. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Boldness be my friend. How poor are they that have not patience? We know what we are, but know not what we may be. In time we hate that which we often fear. I say there is no darkness but ignorance. Life every man holds dear, but the dear man holds honor far more precious dear than life. Give me my robe, put on my crown, I have immortal longings to me. Galileo Galilei, 1564 to 1642. Analytical dynamics, heliocentrism, kinematics, observational astronomy. All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered, the point is to discover them. We cannot teach people anything, we can only help them discover it within themselves. I have never met a man so ignorant that I couldn't learn something from him. It vexes me when the world constrains science by the authority of the scriptures, and yet do not consider themselves bound to answer reason and experiment. By denying scientific principles, one may maintain any paradox. Isaac Newton, 1642 to 1727. Newtonian mechanics, calculus, optics, alchemy, astronomy, economics. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. I was like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself now in the finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Tact is the art of making a point without making an enemy. To every action there is always opposed and equal reaction. If I have done the public any service, it is due to my patient thought. Benjamin Franklin, 1706 to 1790. Writer, scientist, inventor, statesman, diplomat, printer, publisher, political philosopher. The U.S. Constitution doesn't guarantee happiness, only the pursuit of it. You have to catch up with it yourself. We are all born ignorant, but one must work hard to remain stupid. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late. Lost time is never found again. Well done is better than well said. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. He that can have patience can have what he will. All mankind is divided into three classes: those that are immovable, those that are movable, and those that move. Rebellion against tyrants is obedience to God. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. A life of leisure and a life of laziness are two things. There will be sleeping enough in the grave. A man wrapped up in himself is a small bundle. It is the working man who is the happy man. It is the idle man who is the miserable man. Take time for all things, great haste makes great waste. Energy and persistence conquers all things. Being ignorant is not so much a shame, as being unwilling to learn. Your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones. Half a truth is often a great lie. There are three things extremely hard: steal, a diamond, and to know oneself. I didn't fail the test, I just found 100 ways to do it wrong. Never leave that till tomorrow which you can do today. Dost thou love life? Then don't squander time, for that is the stuff life is made of. God helps those who help themselves. When you're finished changing, you're finished. Hide not your talents. They for us were made. What's a sundial in the shade? Applause waits on success. It is easier to prevent bad habits than to break them. He that won't be counseled can't be helped. Observe all men, thyself most. Never confuse motion with action. Michael Faraday, 1791 to 1867. Scientist, electromagnetism, electrochemistry, induction, diamagnetism, electrolysis. The 5 essential entrepreneurial skills for success are concentration, discrimination, organization, innovation, and communication. The lecturer should give the audience full reason to believe that all his powers have been exerted for their pleasure and instruction. Joseph Smith, Jr. 1805 to 1844. American religious leader, Mormonism. A man is saved no faster than he gains knowledge. It is our duty to concentrate all our influence to make popular that which is sound and good, and unpopular that which is unsound. The exultation and happiness of any community goes hand in hand with the knowledge possessed by the people, when applied to laudable ends, whereupon we can exclaim like the wise man, "Righteousness exalteth a nation, for righteousness embraces knowledge and knowledge is power." Never give up an old tried friend, who has waded through all manner of toil, for your sake, and throw him away because fools may tell you he has some faults. The important consideration is not how long we can live but how well we can learn the lesson of life, and discharge our duties and obligations to God and to one another. I teach them correct principles and they govern themselves. When we are accomplishing the good, the greatest opposition comes. It must be emphasized that as a father, you are always teaching. For good or ill your family learns your ways, your beliefs, your heart, your ideas, your concerns. Your children may or may not choose to follow you, but the example you give is the greatest light you hold before your children, and you are accountable for that light. Even this nation, the U.S., will be on the very verge of crumbling to pieces and tumbling to the ground, and when the Constitution is upon the brink of ruin, this people will be the staff upon which the nation shall lean, and they shall bear the Constitution away from the very verge of destruction. Thomas Edison, 1847 to 1931. Inventor, businessman, electric power generation, light bulb, mass communication, sound recording, motion pictures. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production or accomplishment, and to either of these ends there must be forethought, system, planning, intelligence, and honest purpose, as well as perspiration. Seeming to do is not doing. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Many of life's failures are people who do not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. If we did all things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. To invent you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. There is no substitute for hard work. Discontent is the first necessity of progress. I never did anything by accident, nor did any of my inventions, they came by work. Nearly every man who develops an idea works it up to the point where it looks impossible, and then he gets discouraged. That's not the place to become discontent. Everything comes to him who hustles while he waits. What you are will show in what you do. I start where the last man left off. There's a way to do it, better find it. To have an idea, have a lot of them. There is far more opportunity than there is ability. Results. Why, man, I have gotten results. I know several thousand things that won't work. Nikola Tesla, 1856 to 1943. Inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, alternating current, electrical supply systems. I don't think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955. Theoretical physicist, theory of relativity, photoelectric effect, E equals mc squared, Brownian motion. Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. The only real valuable thing is intuition. A person starts to live when he can live outside himself. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. If A is a success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, and Z is keeping your mouth shut. Two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. The further the spiritual evolution of mankind advances, the more certain it seems to me that the path to genuine religiosity does not lie through the fear of life, and the fear of death, and blind faith, but through striving after rational knowledge. Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. Sign hanging in Einstein's office at Princeton. Information is not knowledge. Norma Jean Mortensen, 1926 to 1962. Model, actress, singer, aka Marilyn Monroe. It's better to be unhappy alone than unhappy with someone, so far. I don't mind living in a man's world as long as I can be a woman in it. Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. I have feelings too. I am still human. All I want is to be loved, for myself and for my talent. A career is wonderful, but you can't curl up with it on a cold night. Success makes so many people hate you. I wish it wasn't that way. It would be wonderful to enjoy success without seeing envy in the eyes of those around you. If I'd observed all the rules, I'd never have got anywhere. I'm very definitely a woman and I enjoy it. A woman knows by intuition, or instinct, what is best for herself. Respect is one of life's greatest treasures. I mean, what does it all add up to if you don't have that? Fear is stupid. So are regrets. I am trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy. We are all of us stars, and we deserve to twinkle. One of the best things that ever happened to me is that I'm a woman. That is the way all females should feel. The truth is, I've never fooled anyone. I've let men sometimes fool themselves. A career is born in public, talent in privacy. We should all start to live before we get too old. I often wake up in the night, and I like to have something to think about. We human beings are strange creatures and still reserve the right to think for ourselves. I myself would like to become more disciplined within my work. The public scares me, but people I trust. Martin Luther King Jr. 1929 to 1968. Political philosopher, civil rights activist. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. And so we must straighten our backs and work for freedom. A man can't ride you unless your back is bent. Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men. A man who won't die for something isn't fit to live. Lee Jun Fan 1940 to 1973. Martial artist, actor, Jeet Kune Do, screenwriter, film producer, aka Bruce Lee. Love is like a friendship caught on fire. In the beginning a flame, very pretty, often hot and fierce, but still only light and flickering. As love grows older, our hearts mature and our love becomes as coals, deep burning and unquenchable. Always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself, do not go out and look for a successful personality and duplicate it. Mistakes are always forgivable, if one has the courage to admit them. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. If you love life, don't waste time, for time is what life is made up of. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. If you always put limit on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there, you must go beyond them. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine. A goal is not always meant to be reached, it often serves simply as something to aim at. Knowledge will give you power, but character respect. A quick temper will make a fool of you soon enough. Notice that the stiffest tree is most easily cracked, while the bamboo or willow survives by bending with the wind. The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. To hell with circumstances, I create opportunities. As you think, so shall you become. Showing off is the fool's idea of glory. Real living is living for others. Ever since I was a child, I have had this instinctive urge for expansion and growth. To me, the function and duty of a quality human being is the sincere and honest development of one's potential. Take things as they are. Punch when you have to punch. Kick when you have to kick. All fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. It's not the daily increase but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. Man, the living creature, the creating individual, is always more important than any established style or system. Take no thought of who is right or wrong or who is better than. Be not for or against. To know oneself is to study oneself in action with another person. The less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be. The possession of anything begins in the mind. Obey the principles without being bound by them. Be like water, my friend. Steve Jobs, 1955 to 2011, founder of Apple. At this moment, lying in bed, sick and remembering my whole life, I realize that all the recognition and wealth I have is meaningless in the face of imminent death. I have the money to hire the best at any task, but it is not possible to hire someone to carry my disease. Money can get you all kinds of material things, but there is one thing you can't buy. Life. As I got older, I realized that a $300 watch and a $3 million watch show the same time. That with a $50,000 car and a $15 million car, we can reach the same destination. That a wine of $150 or one of $1,500 generate the same hangover. That in a house of 300 square meters, or in one of 3,000, the loneliness is the same. True happiness does not come from material things, it comes from the affection that our loved ones give us. So, I hope you understand that when you have friends or someone to talk to, that is true happiness. 5 undeniable facts. Do not educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy, so when they grow up, they will know the value of things, not the price. Eat your food as medicine, otherwise you must eat medicine as food. The one who loves you will never leave you, even if they have 100 reasons to give up. He or she will always find a reason to hold on. There is a big difference between human being and being human. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. In whatever stage of life you find yourself now, be grateful and enjoy the little things to the fullest and treasure the love of your partner, your family and your friends, so that when the day comes when the curtain falls, you can carry with you the true wealth of this world. Morris Anderson, 1976 to current. Coach, entrepreneur, author, American Dad. You would plunger your toilet if it was plugged and not working, but why don't you plunger your head when it is as constipated as your clogged toilet? Disappointment is good, regrets are bad. They are not the same. Disappointment is a failure in something you tried for. Regret is something you never tried for when you waved the opportunity as it freely crossed your path. Why do my best ideas arrive at 1 a.m.? Don't they know I want to sleep so I can have the energy to pursue my other ideas tomorrow? I have but one talent: determination. Everything else, I learn the hard way. With an eraser, anything can be drawn to perfection. It's the corrections that make the best definitions in art or a person. I plan to be more spontaneous, so I can better plan for my future. Don't tell me what I can or can't not write. You might inspire a blog that is dangerous to the literate. Compassion doesn't come through words of sympathy. It comes through your action after you've gained a sense of humanity, knowing that person needing help once was you. Keep your hands and arms stretched out. You never know who will grab on to help. You also never know who may grab on needing your help. The important thing is that we reach out together. We may not always win. But when we work together we will never lose.